All right, good evening. Thank you for joining us for our panel on Saudi culinary and making changes to flavors and local flavors and gastronomy of Saudi Arabia. I'm Tina. I'm a consultant from Keen, and we're here to talk to our esteemed guests, Chef Faisal, Jason Dell, Mr. Sirhan, and Sebastian. So part of the Saudi 2030 vision, its aim is to increase tourism by 10%. And part of that tourism is heavily influenced by food and beverage. We know through statistics and studies that 53% of travel decisions are made to food destinations like Tokyo, London. How do we get Saudi food and Saudi gastronomy towards those types of food destination? Jason?
Thanks, Tina. We talked earlier, so we need exposure of the cuisine amongst our industry. So anybody who's interested and has seen all the fantastic social media videos of Qiddiya, especially Six Flags and Aqua Arabia, which is who I'm representing today. So we've got close to 50 food and beverage concepts coming to the theme parks. A lot of international flavors, but also a lot of localization flavors, Arabic cuisine featuring across half a dozen of our concepts quite easily. So we just need to put that out there in front of people and just increase the awareness to our visitors.
Sebastian, homegrown concepts are emerging in the UAE and in the kingdom.
So I want to take a little bit of a bigger swing here, right? And first of all, thank you very much for inviting us to come and speak here about this topic, right? And I think when you talk about Saudi cuisine, it's a country so rich in culture and history, right? And then you're going to flip to opportunity. What is the opportunity, right? And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story of what I experienced, not living in Saudi Arabia every day, but when you come and visit, which is so apparent, right? And that is, today we went to one of our new hotels, Hilton Olaya, right? And we met the teams over there. They had recently opened the hotel, and we had an absolute privilege to meeting 3 young female Saudi chefs, all 20 years and below. And when we talk about entrepreneurship, right? These ladies had absolute fire, passion in their eyes and how they presented themselves. And when we engaged with them, why are they becoming a chef? Because surely there are easier jobs around, right? And why? And the energy that you got from this conversation is the opportunity, in my belief, for the country, right? Because entrepreneurship starts really with the next generation, right? And then it comes to what Jason said, it comes around exposure, right? And here is where I want to swing out a little bit, right? Because I think when it then comes to exposure, it is all about building the right experiences for the people that grow up here and where the culture is native to them, the flavors is native to their cuisine, right? But then exposing them to global trends, exposing them to what good likes on an international stage, because this is where we want to compete and this is where we must compete, right? So how do we get there? Is by taking this raw talent, this passion, and this young spirit that lives in this country like I've experienced in no other country in the world, right? And then creating programs of training and exposure, global cuisines, and bringing in top talent from across the world that can work with these young people to really build the knowledge on technique and skill, so then they can go and unlock the secret to creativity by embracing their cultural heritage and applying techniques that are globally relevant at this moment in time, right? And with that, you create the opportunity to really put Saudi flavors and Saudi cuisines, I think, on a global stage, right? And that is just, my opinion on that. Thanks.
Let me pull this to Chef Faisal. Chef, you're chairman of a culinary academy, which is dealing specifically with something quite similar.
Yeah, actually, I'm a consultant in the academy. I'm the head of consultant in Zadig Academy. In Zadig, we are caring about high quality standard of culinary, and we are the first academy in Saudi Arabia that have that high standard of education that deliver and teaching people or Saudis, either male or female, to be a chef. So we are working hard on this standard. We try to fill the gap which it's in the market nowadays, and Saudi is going to the very big mega projects, and we try, and through our relation and other agreements between either the private entity or government entity, that we will have a plan for them to supply them with the right chef, with the right quantity what they're looking for.
Sirhan, Amsa Hospitality is known quite widely for its understanding and promotion for Saudi Arabian hospitality. What do you think, or how do you think Saudi Arabian hospitality could be nurtured within this entrepreneurial spirit that's happening in culinary here in Saudi?
Thank you for the question. Actually, I have to go back to Jason and Sebastian and Faisal feedback on that, and I'll consolidate this in Amsa Hospitality. First of all, Amsa Hospitality is a Saudi-born brand and Saudi-born company that we feel proud to introduce to the kingdom. Now, if we started from the beginning, one of the mandates for Amsa Hospitality that we develop hotels in secondary cities. Now, having said that, secondary cities is very important to us. Secondary cities for me and to everybody is like Jawf, Hail, Ahsa, Qasim, this away from Riyadh and Jeddah. Now, if you look to the culinary arts which these countries or these cities are providing, you're talking about a culture experience by itself. Now, answering your question, how this will be interacting with the international. So what we're doing, we're cross-exposure cities to each other. So for example, just adding on Sebastian's comment when he visited his hotel in Olaya. Now, in our hotel, where basically we're on Radisson Airport, that hotel, the Saudi chefs who are there, all of them, they come with a story of the art of cooking. This is just only the stepping stone. Now, we did not stop on this line. What we decided to do, we decided to upgrade and uplift and leverage this experience to more academic line. That's why we developed Amsa Hospitality Academy, which is accreditation as well as having an international exposure from luxury hospitality in France. Now, the role of this academy is not only the soft skills. As a matter of fact, the dean of the academy is here and the team is here. They are always pushing to 70-30% of relation, means 30% soft skills, 70% hard skills, means we need to push more on-job trainings, more on kitchen, more developing this within the kingdom. This works hand in hand with organization like Chef Faisal, and we're proud to see that we are in contact with so many talented chefs in order to introduce and infuse the Saudi culture and the Saudi storytelling of food into the cuisine in the international buffet, which clients now start looking for, and they feel like they are excited to see something different than the usual. And when you have this young chef behind the station explaining the reason behind the food And why it's been done this way, not that way, and with this flavor, that's really the adding story to the success of what we're doing. So, complementing everything what the gentlemen are saying, so that's exactly how we, in AMSA Hospitality, we're performing, and that's how we are successing into, the business model what we are in. Including, of course, the coordination, what we have with the Culinary Art Authority. They are, the guiding arm of this. I was so amazed with the book they launched in France. It's something really eye-opening to the chefs. As a matter of fact, I was telling the colleagues in different hotel chains, and I'll tell them, if I were you, I will use that book as my guiding principle for Saudi food culinary in Saudi.
Excellent. So then leading on from that question, or rather leading on from that answer, the giga projects like The Line and Alula and, Russian are part of the larger picture towards tourism strategy for the country. And there's a lot of F&B that is part and parcel of these giga projects. 10s, 20s, hundreds of restaurants and F&B outlets. Part of that responsibility is going to be about incorporating Saudi food into the international offerings or the food offerings that are coming through, whether it be contemporary or modern, or balancing the Saudi flavors. How do you think these giga projects should be approaching this balancing act between traditional Saudi gastronomic heritage and sort of the international demand for modern contemporary cuisine? Kadi is doing some very interesting things. I understand
think they are the best model for this.
turkey legs are in their future.
Okay, so I'm here representing two theme parks, just a small section of Qiddiya, right? So we are an American brand flagship theme park. Everybody who knows Six Flags in America, we are real storytellers, thrill-seeking action adventure playground. So we're going to try to continue that with some of our food concepts across our outlets. You just mentioned turkey legs. We were talking earlier about the funnel cake, famous dish in America, Six Flags. So how do we put a localization spin on those kind of dishes? So this region's famous for dates. This region's famous for honey, lovely floral honeys and assorted spice blends, saffron especially. I'm thinking I'm going to decorate these dishes with those influences to showcase a product of the region. I'm a passionate foodie. I'm still cooking because I love to eat food, but I'm also here to, like you're raising in the question, to showcase the region. So, those are a couple of examples of what we're going to feature.
Chef, you're dealing a lot with this within the academy itself right now.
Actually, we are really caring about the Saudi food. So in academy, the students study for a whole 2 years, and the last semester they will study the Saudi cuisine, because we believe that Saudi chef need to be more educated, more strong in their cuisine. So we are train them. And in the end of the semester, they have a project which is showing the authentic dish as well as elevated dish. We believe in elevated, not too casual. Means we need to highlight the authentic flavor with that twist of a skill that they learn it through the academy, through the journey. When they start, they learn a lot of techniques from the Western cuisines like Italian and other. So we need to see that skill reflect to the Saudi, because as you know, guys, the Saudi cuisine is not that highlighted that well, and it's a big portion and things. So Zadik, we are trying to modern this kind of plates and make it in the modern way with really caring about the waste and food waste. So we have to teach them, the student, a lot of things like hygiene and other techniques, as well as they should be very strong in their local, and as well they know all and aware about other cuisine as well. So in Zadek, and there is also other initiative I wanted to highlight, which is the Culinary Art Commission, that they highlight a lot and do efforts and workshops to highlight the ingredients, which is the local ingredients. And we are really proud of Saudis that now we are register a lot of ingredients which is nobody knows about it before, like Saudi Riz Hasawi, which is a type of rice that only grow in the Saudi Arabia. And that really, the rice is unique in terms of the nutrition and facts and what mineral and vitamins include that rice. So we try, and we saw a lot of highlighting in the dishes itself, like jirish and other dishes, which is famous in Saudi Arabia. So there is a lot of efforts from either government entity or private, like a Zadek. So we are trying our best to reach and be with under the supervision of the Royal Prince, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, that we need to be in the top of the region. So we have to do a lot of works, a lot of efforts to reach to that goal, which is will be happen in 2030. So we're working from now to that goal, and we wish I wish all the best for the people are working together in alignment to reach to that goals.
Right, so Saudi food, I mean, a lot of us have been here for many, many years. Saudi food is sometimes a bit unknown or not as well known as we are expecting to see, and to know that your efforts are cataloging and bringing highlight to the food makes it a lot easier for the rest of us, especially in hospitality, to be able to capture that food and to be able to highlight and to bring it together with the work that we're trying to do, which is putting a spotlight.
To standardize the dishes itself and do that, like we are in the Zadek, we do a curriculum for Saudi cuisine, which is not before available in the market. When you go to, like, you graduate from any school in across the world, you will see a lot of curriculum about the Italian food, a lot of cuisines, French as well. So now we're starting to introduce the Saudi and make it as a standard. So in the future, you will see, like, there is standard for the jirish and there is a standard for kabsa or other dishes, which is very important nowadays to be easy for the restaurant and other franchise, or let's say the international the hotels to implement this kind of cuisines, because very easy for them to implement the Italian Indian cuisine, but they will feel difficulty with our cuisine. So this is what we are trying to introduce in the market. We're trying to make a standard of our cuisine.
That's fantastic. Sebastian, Hilton has a lot invested in this movement. Your thoughts?
Hello. Yeah, look, absolutely, right? And I think we also always need to play to the strengths of what's available, right? And Saudi, like no other country in the GCC, has all different climate zones and different products that is available, right? So how should Giga projects approach looking at F&B offering is definitely starting right at the beginning and planning for circular economy, right? And supporting local businesses, farmers, local sourcing, and all this incredible product that is available, but not necessarily yet through infrastructure available to all the hotels in all the areas, right? And I think that is one of the big opportunities that we have, right? And then, absolutely delighted with what Chef Faisal says. It is of course setting standards, but it's also about adapting and being aware of trends and staying flexible. This is an ever-changing culinary landscape, right? In a fast-moving economy. So I think, success will ultimately be measured by the capability of the schools, the academies, the hotels and the different venues to ensure that global trends are fast incorporated into the offering, trialed and tested on the market, because we're talking about two different kind of customers we need to satisfy. We got to bond with our local community in every area where we're at, and we got to find an offer, but we also got to satisfy hundreds and thousands and millions of tourists, right? So that's where the global trend is really a determining factor, I think, to be taught into the young chefs in all the schools and academies. And again, to our first point, I think out of this exposure will really be the future Saudi cuisine be developed, right? Because this is when the native Saudis applying their new and global skills to their own cuisine. That is the evolution you see around the GCC at the moment in some countries, you know, and this exposure is amplified by partnerships with local governments, but also with partnerships with international corporations like 50 Best and Michelin, right? Because this allows yourself to be measured on an international scale against the best in the world. And if that is where the ambition needs to lie, the infrastructure needs to be paved now from an educational perspective and from a marketing perspective to ensure that we are ready when this comes. And we need to always think back and provide the opportunity to the young talent to learn the skills required traditionally and modern, so they don't lose the heritage and the authenticity, but they have the opportunity to become entrepreneurs and be innovative and creative, not losing the original flavors of their origin, right? And I think that is a real key when we're talking about applying food and drink in giga concepts, right? And then that said, of course, you have to go and make sure that concepts play to each other's strengths, right? And make sure that not every hotel and every restaurant in a small circle has got the same offering available, right? So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I just want to make the point that the measurement matrix being Michelin or World's Best 50 is also culture signaling that the country is ready, that the country is open to the international market, that it's measuring itself to the international market for the international market, and it's in some way being able to be on that measurement matrix invites people to set their expectations and have those expectations met. Once the kingdom begins to be measured in Michelin, it'll go on that list of travel destinations for people who travel the world visiting Michelin restaurants. And these giga projects should really be part of that. Do you agree?
100%. And we're talking about globalization of Saudi cuisine, right? So how do you reach the global market? You know, one part of the people that are coming, and in our hotels we always insist on delivering an authentic experience for our guests, so we can connect with the location of where we're in, so we have a sense of place, right? But on the other hand, you also got to ensure that on this level, you know, it takes years for the infrastructure and the ambition to be there before it becomes reality, right? So this is where we now need to really think about where we're going to go in 5-6 years down the time, and how can we teach the people to really to really be ready for when this comes. And as an example, I just want to give the UAE, right? Because only over the last 2 or 3 years, Michelin and Gourmet entered their market, right? And the change and the shift in the dining scene that happened over the last 2 years was a stronger and more significant shift than the 10 years before. Right? It only has become a dining destination since they're being international measured, right? And what has that led to from a skill perspective in the kitchen? All of a sudden, you know, the expensive boarding concepts and the expensive celebrity chefs are not anymore the be-all of the restaurant scene right now is where the local entrepreneurs are coming through and creating their own concepts, merging tradition, authenticity with skill, innovation, and creativity to create something unique. And that is what is really a turning point at the moment in that market, right? And you see the opportunities are endless when you look at Saudi Arabia to really get ready and lead the way when it comes to creative, innovative dining, not forgetting the heritage and the traditions where they're coming from, right?
Serhan, as a hospitality group that's very, very much focused on Saudi Arabian hospitality and having that expressed, what do you think of the changes that are happening in Saudi cuisine, moving towards modernization or retracting and studying itself in sort of a modern, I guess, countenance level, where it's beginning to capture the techniques, the story, the ingredients in a very international kind of way to then mix and sort of almost localize or nationalize international dishes?
That's a good question. Actually, one of the good things what we're doing in AMSA Hospitality when it comes to our approach to food and beverage concepts is going back to the narrative and the brands of where we're going and how the market will perceive this. Especially, listening to the gentleman, the international market, they are looking into Saudi on an open eyes. And this is exactly where we really need to stand in our feet and be different. And in the meantime, as Chef Faisal said, we need to have standardize in our approach. This is one. But that standardization does not mean that the way how we cook jarish in Ihsa has to be the way how we cook jarish in Jof. Both are different, but the ingredients is the same, and the flavor will sound the same. But at the end of the day, the storytelling behind the way how each concept will be developed, that will be the factor into how we're doing. I'll give you an example. When we are developing, as AMSA Hospitality, when we are developing a hotel inside Daraya, the mandate for us is to maintain the brand essence of Daraya, which is great, and to make sure that the food and beverage offering has to be something that reflect the kingdom in a modern touch. And here is the magic puzzle where we need to fix in between. And that's why having our chefs being brought up and trained into these concepts of international cuisines with Saudi flavors and vice versa, will give that theme which the international, they will come and see something different. At the end of the day, which is very important, the end user, which is the client, they are the one who judge, with all respect to the Michelins. The client, at the end of the day, they judge the ROI of the business. Now, Michelin, you could be a Michelin, but and a very nice empty Michelin star restaurants. Now, for me, I measure it, and I'm sure Chef Faisal agree on this, and we measure it by how many covers we have and the return of these covers once again. And this shows the acceptance of the cuisine to the people. This is one. The second one, which is very important, because we are with the Vision 2030, we're moving toward giving the experience to the client. Now we have so many expats coming into the kingdom to explore what's in Saudi Arabia. So what's in Saudi Arabia is not only the nice and great hospitality side of Saudi Arabia, it has also something to offer, which is the culinary aspects behind the offering. And here, that's where the judge will come. Once again, Mr. Michelin star will love this, but Mr. International, when he comes in, he's the one, he will come and judge. That's the concept which I feel proud to try, and I come back with that experience home and said that I went to Saudi Arabia, I had a great hospitality experience, and in top, I had an outstanding food and beverage taste that I never saw somewhere else. And this is the measurements for what we're doing in this holistic approach for for the business model. And I think, you know, going to an areas like Jizan, and I hope somebody from Jizan between the audience here, he can vote and shout for the outstanding experience they have in the culinary aspects. I'm sure Chef can share the same with me, because being Jordanian, we have a similarity of the live cooking stations what the Jizanis are having. So this is an experience with the storytelling. And that's what the clientele is looking for, and they are anticipating from the future culinary arts. That's why they call it arts, because it's not anymore standardized, with the respect of the standardization what we're doing in the culinary aspects. Thank you.
Thank you. And then that leads us to our last question. We've talked about storytelling, we've talked about culinary, but the fundamental question is that the effort can't come from culinary alone. It's got to be supported in a cross-collaboration with government entities and tourism authority and support from the business network and industries. How do you see cross-collaboration being able to support the culinary arts and for us to explore, you know, the types of aims and goals we're trying to get to in F&B? And is there a successful entity or successful program that has already been implemented that should be continued or should be expanded upon to be able to support the culinary, which then supports the tourism, which then supports the end goal of 2020-30?
Absolutely, there are multiple ones, right? We are very proud partners of Bunyan Academy of Hospitality, and also we have signed an MOU with Zadak, you know, our ambition is to get hundreds of students every year from these academies, right? We just have 30 graduating at the moment from a culinary arts program, and we have over 75 students already working in our hotels that come out of these academies, and that is the future, like in any other country, right? We growing our talent, and then we exposing them and give them opportunities within our operations. However, also, you know, we had over 250 trainees in our hotels already going through training programs and exposure programs to see if this is the industry they want to choose and want to work on, right? Then we have an MOU signed with the Ministry of Labor for people of determination, right? To get them integrated in our workplaces and work. So there is multiple different layers, right? And again, I think cultural immersion is what we're talking about, right? And there it is so important that every customer that comes here has the opportunity to understand the cultural history of this country and the authentic food, right? And that is going, you're exactly right, when it comes through storytelling and how every chef connects his story with the food that is he preserving, right? You know, we're talking about kapsa. Right, kapsa, and you asked us in preparation of this panel, you talked about the pad thai and how the Thai government has launched, right? For me, that dish kapsa is, I must have eaten 20 or 30 different varieties, right? And that is the strength of a unique dish like this, right? Because every region of Saudi Arabia has a different version and a different spice that is relevant to that region, right? And you shouldn't just go and try one, you should go and try to explore as many as you can, right? And that will provide a real incredible identity, I think. For me, traveling here as a foreigner at work, working with many Saudis all the time, right? Connecting through food is absolutely essential, you know. And one of the other, you know, hallmarks for me about Saudi hospitality is family-style hospitality, right? When you get invited to somebody's house and you share a meal, you know, that is something that is such a strength that we should all, you know, work towards, that the customers coming here can experience this, right? And that's one of the big takeaways for me is we got to blend we got to blend tradition, the storytelling, and make sure that integral part stays alive. So everybody that comes here understands the history. And then you have to provide the opportunity for the young people, because they are hungry like no other nation I've ever met, to get in there and to get creative and to become entrepreneurs and to change this country and move forward, right? It's a fast-moving country, and the people are so ready to do it. And it's absolutely incredible to be here and to see it every time I'm here. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, I cannot add more in what Sebastian is saying, because he summarized that very well. But I just need to add two comments here. When AMSA Hospitality developed the academy, the mandate of the academy is all about collaboration. It cannot be done by one person. It has to be by a complete collaboration with authorities, with organizations who basically can support developing young Saudi talents into that concept. So we partner ourselves with universities. We're partnered with more than 7 universities in different regions. And the idea behind this is not only to, as a matter of fact, there is 3 universities, they offered even to give a space inside the university that can treat, or actually we can teach the student of the hospitality inside the university the food culinary aspects in their premises. Having said that, we did not stop with that line. We developed more toward the partnership with a freelance, I would say, with the big organizations like, you know, like Faisal's ones. We share expertise. We developed, how we call it, like a talent chefs. We developed this contest inside the hotels in order to create that motive behind the chefs to give their best inside that week. Now, this being translated on a day-to-day, and it's become like a theme activity inside our hotels. Now, this has created a different motive and momentum, not only between the staff and between our colleagues, it's even with the clientele who coming in and seeing something different every week, because the young chefs, they are competing toward creating something special. And as we said, it's all about storytelling. When you develop a course, or when you develop the Kebsa, that Kebsa has to come with a passion, it has to come with a story. And I agree with Stefan. Saudi food is all about sharing. Saudi food is all about a family. That's why, you know, you will never see a Kebsa for one person. You will see a Kebsa for sharing plates of friends and family on the same table. And this is all about the culture of Saudi Arabia. So we're tying 2 things. We're tying the food and beverage concepts toward the culture. And that's infusing and giving information and giving more to the clientele who comes from outside. You know, having people from the Arab world, from the GCC, they understand the nature of our culture. But having people from different part of the world, this is for them something new. The sharing concepts so the partnership, the collaboration with chefs, the theme nights, what we're doing, the contest competition, what we do, that can drive chefs to come up with their best and their talents, and more and above. In each hotel where we develop in the secondary cities, we make it a mandate that you should have a unique offering from the local market, either from supply chain perspective. You know, chefs here, they understand is all about the spices and the ingredients. So we homegrown ingredients from within the country or within the city where we operate. And that's part of the synergy we have toward having a complete circle in the story of the success of the F&B culinary in Saudi Arabia.
I see. Thank you.
We talked earlier about, you know, the massive tourism that's coming this country. And we spoke about training institutions, and we spoke about the need for grooming more chefs, especially to fill our kitchen spaces. What Sebastian's talked about as the stakeholders that they've got on board with Hilton is fantastic, but I still think there's a huge vacuum, and the government needs to get in behind and support more infrastructure for training, for food and beverage, for hospitality, especially for culinary. For Kadea, we're talking to a handful of different providers who are supplying to the market chefs ready for work. And a lot of them are sewn up by the large hotel chains, the Red Sea Global, Neom. A lot of these big giga projects that you mentioned are gearing up to be able to receive these Saudi talents that are going to come through the chain. But actually what I'm seeing is it's not happening fast enough. I know for our business we need a lot of young people with basic skill sets in culinary, and we need them quickly. And I think there just isn't quite the infrastructure in this country at the moment compared to other places that I've lived and worked, where it's a lot easier to put an ad out there and get a flurry of talent that can help us. But I think that it's a great opportunity for stakeholders, for government to get in and partner with firms like your institution.
I think we need a lot of efforts to fill the need in the market in terms of education, in terms of communication between the private sector and government. I want to highlight one association which is named Qut. Qut is established by owners of the restaurants. What their aim and what their objective is create a trust between the government and the private sector, and helping the private sector to participate in the rules before the government when they establish or optimize or improve some of certain of rule and regulations in certain of sector, they come with the draft. So they are participating with the draft to help them, to give them the full picture about what happened, what the difficulty and challenge that the restaurants, for example, facing. So that kind of the things, that kind of the approach, that helping in terms of ruling and terms of establish a good communication between them. Again, we need a lot of institution and a lot of culinary academy, and to fill the need and the gap. And whatever Zadig and other entity, they are trying to fill some of the gap, but actually we need more efforts. We're asking the people and investor as well to look to that need in terms of financial, and they will feel the good opportunity out of it. So the government going to have a lot of need in the private and government sector as well. So we need to work hard with each and corporation with each other to fill the gap. And there is big room for that. And we need to work together and do the cooperation with all stakeholders. So to fill what they need, even there is, I think, need to be communication with the supplier, and for example, for vegetables and local market and ingredients, that need to be more corporate and more open and communicate with them, because we need to support them and we need them to become more stronger to fill the gap, because to be having your own ingredients available and easy and available for everyone, that make the things more easier for the institution, for the hotels, and at the same time will help the local supplier as well and grow their sector and become more stronger in terms of if you give him more business, that means you allow them to improve and use the technology to grow. And that's what we are looking for, that kind of communication and kind of alignment together to reach to the goal, the main goal.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for all of your time. I think we have time for a few questions for Q&A, if you don't mind. I know we're a little short on time, but open for Q&A.
Tina, yeah. My name is Fahad. I'm a colleague of Tina. We work in Keen together. I'm responsible for development. Right now, we are launching Sindala, as you know, Mu'in. We've been struggling writing a menu where we can merge or combine the tradition and the new. We wonder your views on how we can go forward with it. Separate menus, separate section, fusion, or both, please.
I think that's a tricky question because, the island in question is basically having 28 units,
Yeah.
28 food and beverage outlets. So
We did them
and
all.
all of them are different.
Yeah.
And this is a unique behind the offering of a place. When you talk about a mega projects like the one in Qiddiya, for example, like the one in Diriyah, which is, the offering of food and beverage are huge. And having said that, you need to diversify the offering. But, the good thing is that the offering can be diversified and can be different, but the ingredients is the same. Now, the recipes can be changed, and the people needs to have a different aspects. I understand, being in Qiddiya, for example, or being in Sandala, or being on the projects where we're opening soon in Hayel, this is a places where basically you need to be different and the people needs to see something unique. Now, the multiple outlets in the same area, it can be on a walkable area, that's, I would say, create a healthy offering to the clientele because they can see different aspects. Now, Fadi questions is very, very good because it talks about how you can synergize activities with that line, and I agree with him. And here where we work together as developer, as owners of the land or as owners of the properties with the F&B concepts developer in order to see the way how we can synergize, from supply chain process toward the final end execution. In an areas, for example, that it has a limited access, like the islands, for example, that's all the suppliers needs to come from one area. All the suppliers need to use the same logistic hub that needs to be created, that needs to be coordinated, needs to be planned, needs to be, I would say, crafted in the concept design. So the chefs will not come up with something out of the grid that will make them hit the roof. Because at the end of the day, it's all about understanding the area where you are and the offering and the diversity of the offering as well. I hope I answered your question.
You answered it very well. Thank you very much. I've got another one maybe for Sebastian. When we talk about, Mu'in mentioned small cities are really treasure for cuisine. I visit myself small cities in Saudi and we really have a beautiful food offer. Why don't you hotel chain get this exposure from those small cities? In essence, you can really sponsor sort of local restaurant in your chain and support this movement to exposure the Saudi cuisine.
Look, I think it's a journey, right? And we are on the journey, right? And all the different countries we're working on, like I said earlier, it is about connecting with the local community and finding unique talent and then developing that unique talent or finding supply chain, right? So here we are in the beginning of a massive expansion, right? And every location needs to be looked at individually, right? Because food and drink space is so competitive, so that every location you are open needs to have its own strategy and needs to have its own development, right? And with each location, there goes a tremendous amount of work into research, in finding the right partners. Actually, we have somebody in our team working only on this, right? He's traveling around the world and he's working on third-party partnerships because our strategy is twofold. One part of our strategy is we're creating our own homegrown concepts within the Hilton portfolio. We have a very strong team of branding, architecture and design, and they do this. But we also have a second part of the strategy, and that is finding the right partners globally to come into each market with us and help us tap into a different skill set that we might not be always experts in, right? And that is where the connection comes with power brands that come into the market, or where the connection comes with small individual restaurants that bring a unique touch to maybe that area, right? So it is a journey, and every project is unique, every hotel is unique, and every hotel has its own strategy. But we are out there and we are looking, and opportunities are all around in this country for the right people to be discovered.
Thank you very much. Last one for the chef. I have a lot of things today. One of the concepts I'm working on right now is actually taking Saudi cuisine and maybe even migrate it outside of Saudi. The challenge what I have right now, how to take this traditional food, which you are aware of, the fool, the hamsa, the other stuff, and market them where they can sit in, I don't know, in Dubai maybe, or in London going forward, even to Thailand. Do you have a secret recipe how we can take this from the tradition to modernize, since you are the guy who behind all of it?
Actually, it's very tricky things actually, because you know, when you go far with your creativity, that maybe you lose the authentic flavor, which is very important to deliver. Very important. What I can recommend, what I can say in this, that we have to modernize the things. We have to make it more suitable for other things or other, other places, let's say in the world. But you have to deliver the message, which is the flavor. Flavor should be not touchable, but you can play with the plating, with the sizes, with other things. Of course, you can implement the techniques and other cuisines and other international, let's say, techniques to upgrade, let's say, or upscale the dishes. This is what I can tell you about it. Thank you.
I have a question here, please.
All right, gentlemen, I'm afraid we're going to have to cut it short, but thank you very much for providing. Oh,
I have a question here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, of course.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the valuable information that you provide us. My question for Chef Faisal, as you are consultant in culinary field, you mentioned that there are gaps that needs to fill in the culinary field. So can you please specific the challenge to provide a solution for?
Actually, what I feel, there is a challenges with the number of the needs, in terms of the private sector demand and the government or mega project, let's say. This will create a lot of need for chef, a lot of need in Saudi concept as well. So I think we need to think about two things: how to provide the market with the right resources in terms of the number of the chef, what they need, and also we need to create a more concept, Saudi concept in different scale, let's say, and like a smaller scale and the fine dining scale. So to fill all the needs and be part of the international effort, like you will find, of course, in Saudi Arabia, you will have a Japanese restaurant, you have Italian and Mexican as well, but you have to have also Saudi as well. And we like to see Saudi concept around the world. And we like to see in Thailand, let's say, or any place in the world, we can see Saudi concept. So how we can do that? We have to work hard to this, to standardize the cuisine itself. We need more efforts, more initiative to have more investment in that kind of education as well, and investment in F&B in Saudi cuisine.
So there was some very interesting comments about putting covers in the seats and measuring the success by the ROI. So the question I have is, since there's a lot of interesting concepts coming out in terms of the culinary landscape, How do you plan to fill the seats and get exposure for these new concepts?
So the question was, as the F&B industry is growing, there's a lot of new concepts and a lot of new F&B venues, right, that are opening. The question is, how do you get butts in seats? How do you get people in? How do you get the exposure it needs to be able to gather the interest to create the concept successfully? Right?
Exactly.
I think, because in this I have two combination between the remote cities, I would say, and the offering what we have when it comes to the food and beverage and how to fill these restaurants. Now, no one can neglect the social marketing, social media on these aspects, which is very important. And nowadays, people like in my daughter age, they are an expert in building a narrative of a branding to a restaurants that can be reaching all the platforms by building a right product and a right offering. This can be one aspect, which is the social media part, and having influencers being involved in this, part of the partnership what we have. When you bring an influencer chef can be part of the success story and success journey, that can be a very big driving motive toward the success and filling more restaurants. Now, people, we are in an industry, and I really respect the panel before in the session because I was listening carefully for them, and maybe they forget to mention, because it's an IT session, they forget to mention hospitality. We are a people. So as long we, as a chefs, as a hospitality leaders and a hospitality people can connect with the clientele who is the end user and build that personal relation on that aspects when it comes to the understanding, the expectation, the belief of what we believe with them, that will make a success story completed. Because we cannot depend, I know they were talking about IT and the AI of the relation, but here we are confirming we are a human, believing on a human touch and human aspects on developing and filling story of a restaurants. So being different in your offering and having that right pricing to the right pricing strategy, because just as Stefan said, we cannot have, I don't see Hilton will operate in Qasim. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you will see a different brand of Hilton, which can be more appealing to work in Qasim. So that's a market understanding. Same as in AMSA Hospitality. AMSA Hospitality, we are targeting a certain category of a hotel. We know exactly our mandate. We need to be in the cities. We need to be next to metro stations, trains. So we know the clientele. We know the end user who basically can be our clientele. So building your business model when it comes to your food and beverage outlets in a right strategy, that will fill your restaurants. Starts from the concept design. And from there you can move on.
Just a very quick add to that, if I may, right? And I think you're absolutely right. It has to do with the identity of the concept that carries all the way through. But from a culinary perspective, the question is always going to be, what are you serving? Is it a USP? Is it really a USP? Or is it an SSP? Is this a similar selling point, right? Because, you go in any steakhouse in the world, what they're going to tell you, we have the best meat on planet Earth, we have great hand-cut fries, and we have an incredible peppercorn sauce. Great. Now I've got some news for you. That is an SSP, and a USP, right? But everybody, I'm telling you, you go anywhere, this is what they're telling you. So the true essence of a good restaurant is understanding your purpose and your place, and then combine this with identifying your true USPs, right? And then You, of course, need to put the marketing machine behind it and reach your customer base and utilize the channels, right? But the core of the element is really identifying your USPs and what are you the expert in that nobody else can deliver to your customers.
Yeah, I think I want to add something like you have to understand your customer, target customer. So when you understand it very well, you can offer it the right product which can fill his need. So the important thing, target customer, next thing's the price. You have to give the right price for them.
I just want to say you have to wait another year to come and try our camel burger. Because actually I don't have a kitchen at the moment, so we're still developing the food in here. But handover of a central kitchen is going to be very, very soon. So there'll be a bunch of chefs creating delicious food. So how do we get bums on seats? We're going to wow you. And uniquely for us, we've got a captive audience because there's nowhere else to eat inside of the theme park. You have to come to all of our restaurants.
Hostage. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to end it today, but thank you so much for all the time. Thank you, gentlemen, for the discussion. It's been fantastic. Ending on camel burgers.